Senate will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senators Baisley, Bridges,
Excused.
Buckner, Coleman, Cutter,
Excused.
Danielson, Exum, Senator Exum, Senator Exum, Fields, Senator Fields, Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez,
Excused.
Hanson,
Excused.
Henriksen,
Excused.
Hawkes Lewis, Kirkmeyer, Kolker, Liston, Lundin, Marchman, Michelson Janae,
Excused.
Malika,
He did? Oh, excused.
Pelton B,
Excused.
Pelton R, Priola, Rich, Roberts, Rodriguez, Simpson, Smallwood, Sullivan, Van Winkle, Will, Winter, Zenzinger, Mr. President.
Here. The morning roll call is 27 present, 0 absent, 8 excused. We do have a quorum, just barely. Senator Marchman, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Will you please rise and join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Rich. We thought you weren't going to be here. But we're glad you're here. Senator Baisley.
Somebody didn't want me to be here. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I have a very important announcement motion to make that I really appreciate your consideration. So, Mr. President, I move that the Senate Journal of February 1st, 2024 be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. Senate Services.
February 2nd, 2024, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 56 and 58.
Committee reports.
February 1st, 2024, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 50 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. February 1st, 2024, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 20 be referred favorably to the Committee on Finance. February 1st, 2024, Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 45 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, and with a recommendation that it be placed on the consent calendar. February 1, 2024, Committee on Health and Human Services. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 42 be amended as follows, and if so amended, be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 8 be amended as follows, and if so amended, be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation. February 1st, 2024, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 53 be amended as follows, and if so amended, be referred to the Committee on Finance with favorable recommendation.
Message from the House.
February 1, 2024, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor of Statutes House Bill 1090, amended as printed in House Journal, February 1, 2024.
Message from the Revisor.
February 1, 2024, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bill 24-1090.
Consideration of resolutions. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for the consideration of resolutions.
The motion is to proceed out of order for the consideration of resolutions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We will now proceed out of order. Consideration of resolutions. Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Joint Resolution 6?
Senate Joint Resolution 6, Senators Fields and Gardner, Representatives Duran and Pugliese, concerning the designation of February 4th as Missing Persons Day in Colorado.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 006 and request that selected portions be read at length.
Will the clerk please read the selected portions of Senate Joint Resolution 6 at length?
Whereas each year, hundreds of thousands of families are faced with what former President Ronald Reagan called the stark terror of a unique tragedy, a missing family member. And whereas every 40 seconds someone goes missing in the United States, approximately 2,300 Americans are reported missing every day, and there are as many as 90,000 active missing persons cases in the United States at any given time. And whereas as of December 31st, 2023, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported 96,955 active missing persons cases in the United States, with a large portion being juveniles under the age of 21. And whereas children and adults go missing for a number of reasons, they run away or wander and become lost, they disappear under circumstances indicating that their disappearance may not have been voluntary, or they go missing under suspicious circumstances, indicating that they may be in physical danger or the victims of foul play. And whereas in 2002, then Colorado Governor Bill Owens signed House Bill 2-1083 establishing the AMBER, America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response Alert Program in Colorado. Named after 9-year-old Amber Hagerman, who was abducted and killed in Texas in 1996, the program ensures that local law enforcement agencies can use Colorado's emergency alert system to broadcast information to alert citizens of missing children. And whereas since 1996, Amber Alerts have successfully recovered 1,161 children, and whereas according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 359,094 missing child reports were made to law enforcement in 2022. The organization currently lists 58 missing children from Colorado from every area of the state. While all disappeared from their families when they were children, some have been missing for decades. And whereas too many families grieve, hope, and continue to search for missing family members of all ages, and whereas the awareness, support, and efforts of citizens, media, and law enforcement related to the search for missing persons must continue, and whereas the public plays a critical role in the success of the AMBER and other alert programs, as the eyes and ears of law enforcement, they can be on the lookout for missing persons. And whereas the common misconception that a person must be absent for at least 24 hours before being legally classified as missing is dangerous, when there is evidence of violence or of an unusual absence, it is critical that an investigation begin promptly. And whereas new advances in technology must be utilized and made available to locate the missing, And whereas the state of Colorado is committed to the safety and well-being of its citizens, both children and adults. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado firmly embeds the importance of missing persons and their families and friends in our state calendar and may help raise awareness in cities and states that have not designated a Missing Persons Day. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado offers a platform to plan events that will connect families with resources to help identify and find their missing loved ones. And whereas the designation of Missing Persons Day in Colorado ensures that their families and friends of the missing know that they are not alone in their tragedy, uncertainty, and lack of closure, which lead to long-lasting suffering and impacts on the health, finances, and relationships of those left behind. And whereas every missing person is someone's child, parent, sibling, partner, or friend, and every missing person deserves to be searched for and found, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 74th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, 1, that we, the members of the General Assembly, recognize the epidemic of the missing in the United States as what the U.S. Department of Justice calls the silent mass disaster, and empathize with the ongoing suffering of the families and friends of those who are missing. 2, that we recognize the importance of raising awareness of the number of people who go missing in Colorado each year. 3, that we applaud the committed efforts of families, law enforcement agencies, and concerned citizens who work to locate missing persons. 4, that we encourage the continued support of initiatives and private and public programs to increase efforts to locate missing persons. 5, that we hereby continue to designate February 4th of each year as Missing Persons Day and support the goals and ideals of the day. And be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Voices of Victims, Families of Homicide Victims and Missing Persons, Colorado Victims for Justice, the Colorado Organization for Victim Assistance, and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of my co-sponsor, the good senator from Aurora, and myself, we renew our motion for the adoption of SJR 006 and request a roll call vote.
Members, we will now vote on the resolution, and then if folks would like to further discuss the resolution, they can do so after. The House also has guests here for the resolution this morning, and we would like to make sure we get the actual resolution to them so they can take action as well. And will the clerk please add Senator Mullica to the roll? The motion is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 6. Will the clerk please poll the members?
Senator Baisley. Senator Bridges is excused. Senator Buckner. Coleman. Senator Cutter is excused. Senator Danielson. Senator Exum. Senator Fields.
Aye.
Senator Gardner.
Aye.
Senator Janal. Senator Gonzalez is excused. Senator Hansen is excused. Senator Henriksen is excused. Senator Jaquez Lewis. Senator Kirkmeyer. Senator Kolker. Senator Kolker, aye. Senator Liston. Senator Liston, aye. Senator Lundin. Senator Lundin, aye. Senator Marchman? Senator Marchman, aye. Senator Michelson Janae is excused. Senator Malika? Senator Malika, aye. Senator Pelton B is excused. Senator Pelton R? Senator Priola? Senator Rich? Senator Rich, aye. Senator Roberts? Senator Roberts, aye. Senator Rodriguez? Senator Rodriguez, aye. Senator Simpson? Senator Simpson, aye. Senator Smallwood? Senator Smallwood, aye. Senator Sullivan? Senator Sullivan, aye. Senator Van Winkle? Senator Van Winkle, aye. Senator Will? Senator Will, aye. Senator Winter? Senator Winter, aye. Senator Zenzinger? Senator Zenzinger, aye. Senator Buckner? Senator Buckner, aye. Mr. President,
Aye.
the President votes aye.
With a vote of 30 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 7 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 6 is adopted. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you can be seated.
Senator Fields, sorry, I thought you were going to add co-sponsors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, co-sponsors.
Yeah, thank you,
Senator
Mr. President. We request, without objection, that the morning, or the current roll call, rather, be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to Senate Joint Resolution 6. Thank you. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I stand in strong support of SJR 24-006. And before I share my comments, I need to just thank my co-prime sponsor in this resolution, because we have been partnered in so many issues as it relates to advancing the issues, advocating for victims' rights. And I just want him to know that it's been a pleasure to serve with you, sir.
As well.
Also, I need to give thanks to someone that's not here in this building, and that is Senator Sonnenberg. He gave us a pledge when he was term limited, and he said, let's not forget those who are missing. We picked up the baton, and we stand before you in front of all these folks that are looking to be united with their missing persons, that you will never be forgotten. The good senator from El Paso County will talk about this more, but I just want to encourage anyone that's in this chamber today to do what Senator Sonnenberg did and charge everyone to pick up this mantle to make sure that we never, ever forget those who are missing. We are term limited, so our time is up. And so the challenge is going to be on you to carry on this tradition. So together we stand before you just to highlight the crisis that's going on with missing persons in our state. If you had a chance to look at the resolution, the numbers are outrageous. Thousands and thousands of people have gone missing in the state of Colorado. And they go missing every day. So today, we just want to take a moment for you to pay attention and build awareness to the issues of missing persons and people. You'll see many of those folks, these family members, in the chambers today. They have pictures of their loved ones. We need your help. We need your help. Because a lot of times, in order for anyone to be found, not only do the police and public safety have to do their part, but as a community, we play a role in connecting the dots as relates to missing people. These families can't do it on their own. That's why we're here today. I've had a chance to greet them this morning. I've been greeting them in the chambers. And I am encouraging you to take a look at the innocence that I see when I see these photos. Talked to one person that's here where, and we talked about this earlier, it was a baby. Was just snatched. Still hasn't been found. There's all kinds of reasons why people disappear. I don't have the answers, but I know that I have confidence in our public safety agencies to continue to look for these loved ones so they can be united with their families. My message is simple today, and it is that the missing person, that child, that mother, or whoever, should never be forgotten. And so my thought for you today is, have you seen them? Every time I get an alert, I post it and say, you know, we're looking for this person. We had one in Aurora, 14-year-old boy. He was located yesterday. Through the effort of community and law enforcement coming together, we were able to unite that young boy to their family. Have you seen them? We need your help in searching for these missing people. So talk to these families. Don't shy away from them. Learn from their stories, because you never know, you just never know when this kind of issue will just show up at your door. I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, as a senator in this chambers and many others, you are not forgotten. The Colorado State Department of Public Safety has not forgotten you. They organized this event. They're committed to continuing the search for your loved one. We're here for you. Stay hopeful, because I will never forget and I will never be in despair. Thank you for being here.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to also thank my co-prime sponsor, the senator from Aurora, for the many years we have served together and stood together for the rights of victims, for families, for those who have a missing person, and I also recognize the previous senator from Sterling, Senator Jerry Sonnenberg, who carried the mantle on this for many years. Members, the senator from Aurora and I said to ourselves this morning, we want to challenge our colleagues, both sides of the aisle, that we're not going to be here next year. No cheering, folks. But in all seriousness, ask that someone on both sides of the aisle, on each side of the aisle, take this up, because it is important. People say to me occasionally, well, why do you senators spend all that time on resolutions about so many things? And I've thought a lot about that over the years. We do that because our role here is not simply to present and debate and pass or not pass legislation, but it is to represent, first and foremost, our constituents in our state and their concerns. And this resolution is an opportunity for us today to take a moment in unity to say that we hear you, we've heard your stories, we care about this issue, we think the people of Colorado care and ought to, and that the resources ought to be devoted. And yes, be aware, because at any moment, you may be the person who hears that one piece of information, hears that one story, encounters that one person. You know, we've had I won't recount them, but we've had a couple of stories nationally this year where, and internationally, where people who'd been missing for many, many years were suddenly discovered, suddenly found, suddenly walked in off the street. So this resolution is first and foremost about hope. And we thank our colleagues and in joining with us with this expression of hope. And for those of you that are here to tell the story about your loved one, thank you for being here. Members, thank you for hearing us, and thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Danielson.
Did you want to speak?
Members, we voted on the resolution in order to get it over to the House, so I just want to remind folks, we are still discussing the resolution. It's a little out of order and strange to do it in this order, but it's just so we can get the resolution to the House. So if members are open to, and free to speak about the resolution, and I think maybe there are some folks that members want to recognize, so that would be appropriate at this time as well. Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to both of my colleagues for this important resolution. I really appreciate it, and will do as my colleague said, to always be aware of the role that the Senate and the House should play in solving these crimes, but ultimately the most important thing is finding these people and bringing them home. Welcome to the guests who are here. We sympathize with you. We hear you. As my colleague said, you're not forgotten, and your loved ones are not forgotten. And we really appreciate you taking the time to come here today and for the event that will follow our work here in the Senate this morning. As you read in the resolution, it mentioned the efficacy of things like law enforcement involvement, community efforts, and alerts, AMBER and others, it said. And I think that's why I became a little more tied to this issue. Was a few years ago, leaders from the Native community came to me to say, we also need the state to act and acknowledge that Native Coloradans and Americans experience this kind of crime at a higher rate than any other group of people in our state. But you did act, you did respond, and we created the Office of Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives, and now there's an alert specific to missing Indigenous persons. And so I do want to remind you that we need you to come and talk to us. Let us know how we can better serve you and your families to achieve that ultimate goal that I described, finding our loved ones and bringing them back. And Mr. President, I would like to take a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I mentioned, you all took important action in 2022 and 2023 to establish the Office of Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives. And all of that effort was led by the Native leaders across the state and in both of the tribal councils of the Southern Ute and the Ute Mountain Ute. And we have two of those leaders here today, and I would like to acknowledge them. I want to welcome Raven Payment. If you could please stand. And Trenny Birch, who is the newest member of the MMIR Task Force. This is the volunteer-led effort that serves our communities. I thank you for your service, and I welcome you to this chamber. And also, Mr. President, I would like to acknowledge Raven's daughter, Luna, who I've also gotten to know through all of these efforts. You have our commitment to continue the work and to all of you here today as well. I thank you very much.
Seeing no further discussion, the Senate will now observe a moment of silence, and the Senate chimes will ring. Thank you so much to all the families that have come here today. We know it is not easy, and we genuinely appreciate your continued work in allowing us to be a small part of the journey. The Senate will now stand in a brief recess to greet our guests. The Senate will come back to order. Third reading of bills. Consent calendar. Will the clerk please read the title of the one bill on the consent calendar?
Senate Bill 58, Senators Baisley and Roberts, Representatives Tatona and Byrd, concerning landowner liability under the Colorado Recreational Use Statute.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 58 on the third reading of bills, consent calendar.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of the bill on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 28 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 7 excused, Senate Bill 58 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Gardner, Priola, Rodriguez, Will, Van Winkle, Liston, Lundeen, Kirkmeyer, Smallwood. Please have the president. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over Senate Bill 56 to Monday, February 5th, 2024.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 56 until Monday, February 5th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that bill will lay over until Monday. General order, second reading of bills. Consent calendar. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar, and Senator Winter will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed for everyone in the chamber. Will the clerk please read the title of the bills on the general order, second reading bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 21, Senator Rich, Representative Soper, concerning exempting certain small communities from certain requirements of the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act. Senate Bill 2, Senator Roberts, Representatives McCluskey and Frizzell, concerning the authority of a local government to establish a property tax incentive program to address an area of specific local concern related to the use of real property in the government's jurisdiction and in connection therewith, authorizing counties and municipalities to offer limited property tax credits or rebates to incentive program participants.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of all the bills on the consent calendar and the associated committee reports, which includes Senate Bill 21 and the Local Government and Housing Report, and Senate Bill 2 and the Local Government and Housing Report.
Is there any discussion on the committee reports? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the committee reports on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills of the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had 2 bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
February 2nd, 2024, Mr. President, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 21 as amended and Senate Bill 2 as amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 28 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 7 excused, Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 21 is amended and Senate Bill 2 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills.
Mr. President, I request a senatorial 5.
Senate will stand in a senatorial 5.
Are we good? Are we on?
Senator Winter.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order second reading of bills.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of the general order second reading of bills, and Senator Winter will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed for everyone in the chamber. Will the clerk please read the title of the bills on the general order second reading calendar? Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Bill 46?
Senate Bill 46, Senator Coleman, concerning restricting sales of certain lighters.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 46.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill will require multi-purpose lighters to be subject to meet the standard provisions of the American Society for Testing, as well as prohibiting the successful use of novelty lighters by children. 17 states have already passed similar legislation due to fatalities and unintended fires. This policy ultimately limits the manufacturing and sale of novelty lighters here in the state of Colorado, and I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, we heard this bill in committee the other day in the Business, Labor, and Technology. I'm normally not one for increased rules and regulation, and especially when it comes to something like this, when we think about lighters and so forth. There was good testimony by a particular gentleman representing one of the major manufacturers of lighters. Like I say, normally, why would the legislature get involved with something like this that is a little bit mundane? Most of us don't think about lighters. The thing that concerned me, or that I found very interesting, were the fact that all of the lighters that are being misused come from the country of China. And I thought that after the testimony, it was compelling. Quite frankly, I feel, this is my own personal, that the People's Republic of China, not the country of Taiwan, but the People's Republic of China, mainland China, quite frankly, they are not friends of ours. In almost anything, they're staunch competitors. They are I believe, a real threat to us down the road, if not currently. So for that reason, I have come around to the idea that I would be supportive of this piece of legislation, Normally, I wouldn't want to get into the minutia of regulating lighters, but this is just, quite frankly, it's the tip of the iceberg as it relates to China. The Chinese are aggressive competitors to our country in every facet, whether it's lighters or technology or computers or automobiles, you name it. So for that reason, I will be supportive of this piece of legislation, though I normally wouldn't want to get down in the weeds on it. Vote your conscience, but for myself, because I am really concerned about the Chinese and the threat that they mean to our country. So I'm voting aye for this bill for the time being. Thank you.
Minority Leader Lundin.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I rise in opposition to Senate Bill 46. 3 elements to this bill: prohibiting counterfeit, cool with that; prohibiting unsafe, cool with that; prohibiting novelty, not cool with that. You see my beautiful Colorado State Senate coffee mug here? Bit of a novelty. If you turn it over, look at the bottom, it says "Made in China." It's not counterfeit, it's legitimate, but it's a novelty. I think that, in fact, it's appropriate. Now, many of us spend a lot of time and energy and effort supporting our favorite sports team. Imagine if you also occasionally light up a cigar or a cigarette or something of that nature, or quite frankly, like to light your barbecue grill with a butane lighter because the click, click, click switch no longer click, click, clicks appropriately. And you like to do that with a lighter that sings the fight song of your favorite football team. Well, you may not do that. That would be taken away from you by virtue of this bill. It would say that novelty, that musical intonation that you hear playing your favorite fight song, it's now illegal under the law of Colorado. Now, I stand and fight for freedom and liberty and rational behavior and common sense on a constant basis. I do not think it is common sense for us to say you may not transport across the state of Colorado, you may not hold an inventory, you may not sell a novelty of that nature. Now, I'm kind of a cowboy boot fan. Imagine if I wanted a lighter in the shape of a cowboy boot, and I'm going to not take my Lucchese off and put it up on the podium here for you to look at. It's a novelty. Actually, it's got, well, I'm so desperate. You know, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Everybody hold your nose. It's a novelty. It has the seal that, it's not the actual seal because that would be illegal, that would be counterfeit, and therefore not appropriate, but it has a design, a novelty design, and in acknowledgement of the Colorado 71st General Assembly. That was 2 General Assemblies ago. If I wanted this with a little butane torch coming out of the top and a, smaller so that I can maybe keep it in my pocket, that would be illegal under Senate Bill 46. I do not think that is the appropriate province of government. I do not think that we should, in fact, be doing this. Unsafe. Now, let's talk about that. I can support that portion of the bill. Call it a third of the bill. It may or may not be a third of the bill. Unsafe, yeah. But honestly, I would argue the marketplace is going to solve that problem too. If your lighters are unsafe, people are going to say, don't buy that lighter because it is an unsafe, non-functional lighter. It doesn't work well for you. If it is counterfeit, harder to discern, so the marketplace may not clean that up quite as quickly. And therefore, there is rational reason for us to, in fact, protect against the trafficking, I guess we could say, in counterfeit products. But to just simply say because something comes from another country without other cause to believe that it's inappropriate, either counterfeit or so forth, would not be appropriate. Again, my novelty coffee mug made in China with the seal. Actually, again, it's not a seal, it's a design, the nature of which would imply the Capitol and the State Senate of Colorado is perfectly legitimate. That sort of thing with regard to lighters and so forth would be prohibited under this bill, and based on those arguments, I, in fact, will be in opposition to this bill. Now, if that portion of the bill were excised out, if the idea that, a novelty is not acceptable, I might at that point become more serious in my consideration of this bill. But for me, right now, it's a blanket and simple no. Madam Chair, thank you for your attention. Thank you for not throwing anything at me when I pulled my boot off. I'm sure that the odor from my foot wafted back up toward you as I did that.
It was close.
It was close. She didn't throw the gavel at my head when I took my boot off. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Minority Lundin, for letting us know what you're cool with. Senator Beasley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I voted yes in committee on this bill because it has the very good intent of trying to protect folks, especially young folks, from lighters that are unsafe, that will not operate as intended, and that's typically because they're a cheap knockoff. They're the ones that imitate the name brand American Lighter Company, and we had, in fact, the largest American lighter company, I believe, present in committee to testify in favor of the bill. I said I would be in support so long as, and I was hoping that we would have an amendment ready, and I'm hoping that we will, the next few minutes here, have an amendment to remove the novelty piece of this bill, because it's unnecessary, but it's also, it's not important. And most importantly, it's a reach beyond what's appropriate for us to be outlawing. I mean, government is force, and we're talking about creating a law that would make it illegal to have novelty lighters. And in the bill itself describes that the novelty lighters resemble in shape a cartoon character, toy, gun, watch, musical instrument, vehicle, toy animal, food or beverage or similar articles, or plays musical notes or has flashing lights for entertainment. Why on earth would we want to assert the power of government to make those illegal? I have a lighter at home that falls into one of those categories, and so does a good senator from El Paso County. We both said, hey, I've got one of us has one that's an animal, and one has one that's a toy rifle, a little miniature rifle. The flame comes out the end. Those are very common, and that would be illegal. So for that reason, I need to not support this bill, and I'll vote against it unless we're able to amend that section out. Thank you for listening, members.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I may ask for a senatorial 5 in a few moments because I'm having amendments prepared on this bill. But let's go over this bill. We start to see a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff really quickly, and get asked to do things, and some people come in and say, oh, we got to do this. This is a terrible problem. I thought it was instructive that one of the colleagues, I think the sponsor of the bill, or perhaps one who voted for it in committee, commented that a major manufacturer of lighters requested this bill. Because when I looked at the bill cold, just looked at the bill, I said, why is this bill even here? And I'll get into that in a moment. Why is this bill even here? Is someone asking for this bill for anti-competitive reasons? Maybe. It's certainly anti-competitive. And curiously enough, members, this bill raises First Amendment concerns. Now, I struggled through law school twice, but I got figured out on the First Amendment, and so I tend to see those problems. I took not everybody takes a very special course on the First Amendment, but I did, and so I see those things. So this bill, first of all, it is instructive for everyone anyway to take a look at it because of the definition section. There's as much or more substance in the definition section as there is in the operative section of the bill. So when you say lighter, and you're going to be enforcing it in any way, shape, or form, you got to define what a lighter is. And so a lighter is an electrical or mechanical device that operates by using a type of fuel or power source, including butane, isobutane, or another liquid fuel. So if you had a solid fuel lighter, I don't know how you'd have that. You have solid rockets, but or a source of electrical energy, including all types of batteries, and is typically used to light a cigarette, cigar, or pipe. Well, that's sort of unremarkable. I mean, you have to have that definition in, but at the end of the day, what a lighter is what you'll use to light a cigarette, a cigar, or a pipe with, but we've just described it. But, and then there's the definition for counterfeit lighter, is a lighter that infringes on the intellectual property rights of a citizen of the United States. I guess if you interfere and infringe upon the intellectual property rights of the citizen of the United Kingdom, we don't care in Colorado, even if those people have property rights. Or an entity that is protected by a federal or state intellectual property law. Well, maybe that includes those foreign countries. And then we get novelty lighter. I'll sort of come back to that. So then we've got unsafe lighter. And we're like, oh, we better pass this bill. We better pass this bill. We better put a safety clause on it. There are unsafe lighters out there. Don't you think the Consumer Product Safety Commission already got to that years ago? Don't you think they already got to it? It's okay. It's okay, but why are we going to get into the middle of something that has already become a matter of federal concern, and that the federal government has a program to deal with? And how much in resources are we going to devote here in Colorado? I guess I missed the memo that said we need to pass a lot of bills requiring a lot more law enforcement attention on various and sundry things, so that because we got more money and time than we know what to do with in Colorado. I must have missed that memo. I mean, the ASTM standards, Standard Consumer Safety Specification for Utility Lighters, don't you think the Consumer Product Safety Commission is already there and already working on that? And these lighters, they move in interstate commerce. I don't know that we have any lighter manufacturers in Colorado. Maybe we do. I suspect they're all in some country on the other side of the world. So then we get to what is going to be a new section 629-102. Says, except as provided in subsection 2. We'll get to that. A person, and a person, by the way, is a natural person, and I'm sure somewhere in there it's a corporation, an LLC, any kind of entity. A person shall not sell, offer for sale, or provide a free sample of any counterfeit lighter, unsafe lighter or novelty lighter in this state? Well, we did counterfeit lighter. We talked about unsafe lighter, but we already know the Consumer Product Safety Commission is doing something about that. Novelty lighter. You know, when I looked at the bill, I thought, what's a novelty lighter? I mean, it sort of suggested itself to me that it must be a lighter that instead of just the standard, I'm not going to say the name of the manufacturer, but you all know people who make pens and lighters, I guess. It has a shape. It's in the shape of a, well, actually, I'll tell you, while I'm doing this, I went on my favorite search engine, and I put in the term novelty lighter, and I even put in, just so I'd really get the deal, I put buy novelty lighter. Talk about lighting up, my screen lit up. It lit up with everybody who wanted to sell me novelty lighters of all sorts. I mean, they were, a lot of them were firearm-based. A lot of them were a little gun. I've seen those in the movies. That would be a novelty lighter. There were, I guess I could have put in naughty novelty lighter or obscene novelty lighter, and I could have really gotten it, but I got some, you can buy novelty lighters in shapes and things that wouldn't be permitted in my household.
Senator Gardner, we don't need too many details on your novelty lighters.
Again?
We don't need too many details on your novelty lighters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly was not going to go into the shapes and sizes. I simply was allowing the fertile imaginations of our senators to run, but most of them were pretty boring, so it wouldn't be the least bit inappropriate. Novelty lighters, tools, shapes of tools, all sorts of things. Now, you say, well, we got to put a stop to that stuff. Because novelty lighters, what are novelty lighters? Well, a lighter that is commonly recognized as appealing to or intended for use by children under 5 years of age. And that. Well, first of all, that might be overly broad and vague. Might be overly broad and vague as a description. Now, I think that's and that is going to try to narrow that up so it survives constitutional challenge. But, and that physically resembles in shape a cartoon character, toy, gun. We probably ought to define gun. Watch, musical instrument, vehicle, toy animal, food or beverage, or similar articles. So, if a lighter in the shape of a carrot is out there, does that appeal to or be intended for use by children? I don't know. It's a vegetable. I suspect it's not intended or to appeal to a child because it's a vegetable, and we all know what they feel about vegetables. Well, what about a teddy bear? Well, maybe. But I don't think 5-year-olds are the lighter market. I don't think this is like candy cigarettes or something. I don't know. But here's the thing. You look at all that stuff that's out there on the web page, and you say, we're going to prohibit it. It's going to be prohibited under Title VI, the consumer portion of our Colorado Revised Statutes. You can't even provide a free sample of such lighter on a retail basis, a wholesale basis, online, or in person. Now, I guess that means that I can't offer that, not only as a retailer or a wholesaler, but I can't offer one of those online or in person. So, you know, I want to promote my favorite candidate. This just came to mind here. You'll love this. I want to promote, well, someone's favorite candidate for President of the United States. And so I have lighters that are in the shape of, they're orange in color, and they're in the shape of a human head with kind of a wave that you can click. And I actually am liking this idea. I may have these lighters done. You can click on the back of the wave, and fire spews out of the mouth of this lighter in the kind of in the shape of a person's head. And I offer those in person at the next Central Committee meeting of my political party. Now, does that appeal to a child 5 years of age and under? Well, actually, I mean, I've seen things that argue that the appeal of some political personages to children is very high. I don't know. But this says I can't give those lighters away as a campaign promotional item. I can't have a human head. That's what this says here. Physically resembles in shape a cartoon character. Well, leave it to you. Or similar articles. There's a whole list, and it's like all similar articles. Or plays musical notes. Like, so if that lighter that I ask you to imagine with me had this personage on top, and you clicked it, and the fire came out of the mouth, and it played, while it was doing that, it played Hail to the Chief, that would be an illegal lighter. I couldn't use that to promote a candidate. And I'm thinking there ought to be like a Bob lighter, right? That would be pretty cool, but it's illegal. What is it we're trying to get at here, people? Really? What is it in this bill that's not already being done by someone? Well, the counterfeit part, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, but besides checking your luggage when you come back from the Bahamas, you wealthy senators, you can't take a spring vacation to the Bahamas, that's right, you're here. But when you come back from the Bahamas, or Canada even, they check your luggage out. Those people do that, but they also have something else they do. And the something else they do is there's a whole bunch of those folks at the port looking for counterfeit goods. And Are they successful? Well, there's so much counterfeit goods, but the department stores and chains and everybody are forever getting notices and having things confiscated for violation of intellectual property rights and other things, including violations of other U.S. laws like Consumer Product Safety Commission requirements. Some of these things get through, but I don't have a lot of confidence that the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, an agency that has lately been wishing to expand its jurisdiction, would be able to go around enforcing the counterfeit lighter law. I assume that they're looking to create a private cause of action so that a major manufacturer of lighters will have a private cause of action against everybody else to take every other lighter off of the market, including novelty lighters. Not counterfeit lighters. Okay, I'm good with that. Let it be. Novelty lighters. Because those novelty lighters, they're pretty cool. And I saw all sorts of things. Now, novelty lighters don't include, let me tell you here what they don't include. This is interesting. Except that novelty lighter does not include standard disposable or refillable lighters that are printed or decorated with logos, labels, decals, artwork, emblems, engravings, etchings, inscriptions, or heat shrinkable sleeves. Now, when I was a kid, I loved everything Air Force. Still do, actually, but somebody might do a lighter with a fighter jet on it. That might appeal to a child under 5, but that isn't going to be excluded. It'll only be that if it's in the shape of a fighter airplane or a rocket. When I was in the Air Force, I was a missile combat crew member. I was an ICBM launch officer. While we didn't have those lighters in the shape of a rocket or a missile, I can see where somebody would do that and sell them to the crews. Members, it's Friday. I don't want to belabor the point. This bill
There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read amendment number L001?
Amendment L001.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move L001. Members, L001 on page 2 strikes lines 21 through 25. This is the novelty lighter, and on page 3, 1 through 15, it's also the unsafe lighter. That would take this bill down to only prohibiting counterfeit lighters. If somebody wants a prohibition on the sale of counterfeit lighters, and they really probably are seeking a private cause of action to do it, okay. But this bill tries to do more than that, and part of what it tries to do, frankly, I think I just demonstrated to you part of what it tries to do, frankly, in its application, violates the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. I mean, you have to work at that. I asked for an aye vote on L001 in order to clean this bill up and confine it to what a legitimate purpose is.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the amendment from the good senator from Colorado Springs. That being said, if you look at the definition of novelty lighters that is found on page 2 of the bill, ultimately it talks about novelty lighters or lighters resembling a cartoon character, a toy, a gun, a watch, a musical instrument. There are certain things that, when we ran this bill, we wanted to make sure that lighters weren't appealing to kids, and for that reason, to strip this portion out of the bill, it would make it so that the bill would still allow those types of lighters to be manufactured and sold in the state, and I ask for a no vote.
Senator Gardner.
Well, let me reiterate my call for an aye vote so that we can pass a constitutional bill.
Is there any further discussion on L001? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L001. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and L001 is lost. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, there we have it, an anti-competitive bill to protect probably a single manufacturer, giving them a private cause of action, probably. I haven't studied it, but I don't see what the point is otherwise, and it's in Title VI. The whole novelty lighter business is something I didn't know about until 2 days ago, but I've illustrated for you, I hope in somewhat humorous fashion, but nevertheless, what is wrong with this prohibition on novelty lighters. Did I look at the web page with all those lighters and think, I'd really love to have one of those and one of those and one of those? I really didn't. In fact, most of them I wouldn't spend a dime for. I don't really need a lighter anyway. I only use one of those long extended ones to light the candles for dinner. Yes, even simple country lawyers do candles sometimes. Members, this is really, at this point, a bad bill. It is a bad bill. It is, with respect to the sponsor, I'm sure his motivations are good, but underlying this bill and what it does is anti-competitive, it is anti-free speech, it is difficult in its enforcement. We ought to, when we spend our time, and you spend your Friday morning listening to me drone on, you ought to be doing it for something that really matters and isn't really going to benefit one single manufacturer and give them the right to go after a bunch of people for things that, by the way, they, under federal law, already have the ability to do. A question that hasn't been answered by the sponsors, I haven't asked it yet, but I query this. It prohibits the sale of lighters of any novelty sort or even the offer for sale in Colorado. So if you're Amazon or Walmart or some other Chinese companies with which I don't recommend doing business, online, are you going to have to then put a notice when the lighter sale thing comes up, not available for sale in Colorado? Because you can't offer it for sale in Colorado. Does the Interstate Commerce Clause trump this? Using Trump in its more original sense. I'm not sure about that. But it does seem to me that then those companies, those stores, are going to have to decide whether they can offer that item on their webpage or not. And of course, what I really think is going on here, and this may not be well understood by those who offer the bill, is that the solution for those kinds of merchants is to just not offer anything at all that might otherwise be legal, that you only offer the lighter of a large manufacturer, thereby controlling the market. I urge a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 46? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 46. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no.
No!
With that, Senate Bill 46 is passed. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the committee is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had one bill under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
February 2nd, 2024, Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report it has under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 46 passed on second reading and ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Are there any no votes? Senators Will, Rich, Gardner, Kirkmeyer, Lundeen, Pelton R., Simpson. With a vote of 21 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 7 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 46 passed on second reading and order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Introduction of bills.
House Bill 1090, Representatives Satone and Ricks, Senators Exum and Fields, concerning release of identifying information in criminal justice records.
Judiciary. Announcements. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Once again, thank you, Mr. President. All right, members. Yesterday, I stood before you and I reminded you that today was National Wear Red Day. Now, I know some of you were kind of laughing about it, thinking, you know, you're a little light on the red color clothing in your closets. That even includes, apparently, the lobbyists for the National Heart Association. But today is National Wear Red Day because February is American Heart Month. And for those of you, if you'd like to come up, that would be great. I've been trying to get pictures with folks, but for those of you who don't know, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. But most of the time, it can be prevented. Colleagues, No one asked me to get up here and speak about National Heart Month. I did that because I'm doing this because down here, we're under a lot of stress. We get going. We're very passionate about our bills. We're very passionate about our amendments. We're passionate about what we believe to be right and what's best for Coloradoans. Sometimes we really get going. But sometimes when we're down here on this floor and in this Capitol, that leads to a lot of stress. That's one of the contributors to a heart attack, to heart disease. So is this environment that we're in, because it's not really that conducive to being heart-healthy lifestyle. So I asked you all to wear red to motivate you, to get you to start thinking about protecting your heart, to start making healthy choices. Maybe you stop smoking. Make sure you get plenty of sleep, not only for your heart, but so that you're not cranky down here. Be more active, because we do a lot of sitting. A lot of sitting. Eat better. I'm trying to encourage you to have a heart-healthy lifestyle, because I enjoy the debates we have down here. I enjoy the friendships that we've made over the years and that we will continue to make. I don't want any of you to miss out on the floor and on the fun that we're going to have throughout this next 100 days. So please, even if you didn't wear your red, think about having a healthy heart lifestyle. Thank you.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
This day is incredibly important to me. As many of you know, I've spent weeks in the hospital over the last couple of years taking care of my heart. You can actually see my pump that goes directly to my heart, but I want to share a story that's going to inform some of the actions I take this year. The Friday before Christmas, I got a call from the pharmacy that makes my medicine. And they said, your medicine that keeps you alive, that you can't live for 20 minutes without, is no longer going to be made because our pharmacy company doesn't make money off of it. And my doctor, I then called my doctor right away. It's 4:30 on December 22nd. And he said, don't worry, there's a good replacement. And he prescribed that. A week later, my insurance company called me up and said, we aren't covering this, and it's $25,000 a month. So good luck with that. And the pharmacy refused to fill it. I then spent the first 2 weeks of session on the phone for hours a day. You didn't know, when I wasn't in committee and I wasn't on the floor, trying to get the access to my heart medicine that I needed. Ultimately, my insurance company did what was right and approved the replacement for the drug. I had 2 weeks of medicine left. I didn't know what I was going to do in 2 weeks. That's what I was doing down here. And so when we talk about heart health, we have to look at the health system as a whole on how we're making sure that access to health care is affordable and accessible, and you don't need the title of senator to get the health care you need.
Senator Rich.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Buckner and I have a tribute concerning the National Wear Red Day. And I would, do I need to ask for a moment of personal privilege?
Yeah. Never hurts.
Okay, just to be on the safe side.
Granted.
Mr. President, I ask for a moment of personal
Granted.
privilege.
Granted.
Today, February 2nd, 2024, is National Wear Red Day. It's a day to urge all citizens to show their support for women and the fight against heart disease and stroke by commemorating this day and wearing the color red. By increasing awareness, speaking out, and empowering women to reduce their risk for cardiovascular diseases and stroke, we can save thousands of lives each year. Sadly, we all know heart disease and stroke doesn't affect just women. Heart disease is the number 1 cause of death, and stroke is the number 5 cause of death in the U.S. Someone will have a heart attack in the United States approximately every 40 seconds. Most heart disease deaths are preventable. Risk factors such as blood pressure, smoking, cholesterol, and lack of regular physical activity can be controlled. The American Heart Association encourages Americans to take control of their heart health by knowing 5 numbers that can be life-changing: total cholesterol, HDL, which is your good cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, and body mass index. Today, the Colorado General Assembly is here to recognize the National Wear Red Day and encourage all Coloradans to be heart healthy.
Senator Buckner.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
You may.
This year, the American Heart Association is celebrating its 100 years since being founded. Back in 1924, heart disease was considered a death sentence. There was no treatment available, no hope. But the American Heart Association's founders didn't believe that. They felt that if we only understood heart disease, treatments would follow. And were they ever right? Fast forward to today, and there are not only treatments, but proven ways to lower your risk for heart disease as well as strokes. And there's certainly no letting up in the next 100 years. This morning, Senator Rich and I joined a room full of American Heart Association members, and they were so engaged, and we asked them what we could do as senators to make sure that they're always included and so we could hear their voice. And we asked them to be present with us whenever we might have bills that are coming where they can contribute. Also, Dr. Granardo Oswald was there this morning, and he had to leave. And also, Dr. Karen Orjuela was there from the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus, and we're going to keep them engaged with us as we bring forward legislation. And I don't want to be fined, and I won't be fined, but if the members had been here in the gallery, we would have recognized them, but they know who they are, and we want them to know how much we appreciate them being here today.
If they were here.
Clever, clever, clever. Senator Rich.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could continue a moment of personal privilege.
Please.
The Wear Red campaign is also celebrating 20 years. In 2004, the campaign was launched to raise awareness about heart disease in women, and it was often underdiagnosed and undertreated. Today serves as a reminder of the importance of heart health education, prevention, and early detection. And this is a good example of everyone who is here to support Red Wear Day. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Further announcements. Senator Zenzinger.
Hello, members. Today, the Joint Budget Committee will likely meet upon adjournment, and we just wanted to make sure that we noticed it properly to discuss the supplemental package and the beginning of figure setting. Thank you.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm making an announcement about the Judiciary Committee. Senator Gonzalez is not here today, but we are meeting on Monday, but we are adding a bill to the calendar. So I just wanted to, for the public's notice, to know that we're adding one bill in addition to what's already on the calendar. That's going to be House Bill 1090, but we'll also additionally have 1020 and then Senate Bill 3 and 13.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'd like a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell the body that I've consulted with the President and with the Majority Leader to be excused on February 15 and 16.
Senator Janal will be marked as excused on that day. Further announcements. Message from the House.
February 2nd, 2024, Mr. President of the House has adopted and returns herewith Senate Joint Resolution 6.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn until 10 a.m. Monday, February 5th, 2024.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will adjourn until 10 a.m. on Monday.